So I sat down yesterday before I fell asleep and said to myself, okay, let's watch this. You know, get to the end points of the different characters because this was definitely one. As we all know, the whole cast great, except maybe, you know, Quill. The first note I was making, why oh why they did not make the effort to rent some real raccoons. I mean, sure, the CGI transition was probably easier this way, but the quality definitely suffered. This is my first thought on this movie. Not a good sign. Then Space Lord, being depressed by grief. What happened with the holiday special? It got retconned out of canon, that's what happened. At least that's my thought. And I have to agree. This definitely was the direction to go. I mean, what else would I want in my funny Guardians of the Galaxy movie than a factor level depression with animal cruelty on top? Oh, but the whole fun is ruined by Mr. Captain Planet or Power Ranger or whatever arriving. And aside, me not believing Groot can just live without its head, or just guessing why not totally do the man thing to grow into the body of its victim, suffocating it, or, growing through its flesh, and it does later in the movie. I also have the question, where were the security service? Or how Nebula is Transformer now? Or, female Terminator. Instead, I just ask, why step the guy with the sword of the crazy old man from the Wolverine, but not chop him into pieces like Musashi, the historical real-life samurai, did? At least, the big bad boss is a black dude. It would be nice if he would be an immigrant too, but too late for that now, I guess. Either way, if he is the master of evil ocean, why is he messing with robotic parts and creates cyborgs? I mean, evolution is genetics, modifying genetics. But if we are doing robots, implanting machinery and that stuff, tell me about those. Just one thing. Because you implanted them in pups, child animals. Do they grow them? Do they grow with the patients? Or what? You are doing the surgery again and again when they outgrowing the not growing parts? Because without that information, messing with the robotic parts does make no sense. I feel Chewbacca approaching. Okay, how is Camera here? I can't care about anything else until we deal with this. And this wasn't just my question. I had to Google this up, then reroll Endgame, and search for Gamera appearing. Turns out she did appear there, but she was a side note, a blink it and you miss it part. And as she wasn't even there at the funeral and we'd never seen her leaving the battlefield, I assumed, quite logically if I may, that she died with the millions of creatures Thanos brought from the past. Or parallel universe or something. Let's move on to Spy Kids. I was asking myself, why am I watching a film using Spy Kid level props? I like Spy Kids. Less so the first part, but even then that was the first part, so it gets, some moving space. But MCU wasn't supposed to be one. I was wishing I could do drugs so I could suspect I was just having a trip, let's say that. And I don't know about you, but in a heist movie, there is always a planning phase. One purpose is to create tension between the police and the robbers, but sometimes we skip that. But there is another important aspect of it, that we know how far we got to get the treasure. Otherwise, we are only allowed to do, Indiana Jones goes into the temple at the first movie start, and that takes like 5 minutes. While here it takes like more than half an hour. Without the information where we are in the plan, as example shows, me, the audience, gets bored with random problems because we don't feel the progress. Are we there yet? Or there is an hour more of this ahead? Can I go out to the bathroom and cook some dinner, or I will miss the movie if I do that? Who knows? And as we are at it, I don't know if this is some comic book trope or bad Hollywood trope, but a bunch of people with guns is not security. Senator, you should do better. By the way, why we got back to the little rocket raccoon? What's the point for that? Should we talk about the rabbit's mouth never opens? It has a big metal mouth like in that slasher horror movie where the thing drive the monster truck and all that kind of crazy things. Or let's talk about the virus simply has some tyrants shoved into its ass, because that was a free asset or something easy to animate or whatever. Why the weasel has entirely robotic arms instead of enhanced biological implants like the raccoon? What's the collective theme of that series of experiments? And another question. In the universe where everybody speaks English, why not the planet of Dr. Moreau? Suggestion. Remove all the past scenes. Remove all the slow-mo traveling TikTok melodramatic videos inserted into this movie. Remove the golden people. Remove camera. What did we achieve if we do all that? A 90-minute movie with a much tighter story and pacing, faster pacing, overall a more interesting movie that might actually worth watching, instead of this pile of crap. Because at the halfway point, the big emotional moment that all the experiments along raccoon, the past family of raccoon that broke his little heart, died by accidental misfires of the arriving guards, as they were all aiming at him. I don't feel sadness. I am laughing at disbelief how accidentally perfectly those animals got shot. Instead of the, only target which posed a threat, Rocket Raccoon. And yeah, I know they needed the brain. Who cares? Just don't make a headshot. One final remark. Where's Space Lord's nano-spacesuit helmet when he's in space? That was his brand from the get-go. I can't worry about him when he is committing suicide by not activating that gadget. You can try to throw in all kinds of random development, like the guy with the whistling thing. But let's assume he does or does not learn to influence the arrow. What will be the importance of it in the future? When we do know, everybody quit. And now they are jobless as James Gunn just gets fired from Warner Brothers after they pumped up their stock and sold everything. And the writing for the first movie was, let's face it, considering Guardians of the Galaxy were C-tier comic book team, and nobody knew or cared about them, that writing in that light was not simply good, but great. The second movie, everybody agreed, was weaker, but still good. It was a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It was all the weirdness. Ego was a bit lackluster point, but there was Rondo with the whistling around and all the looters showing up. That was absolutely a good movie. And then we have this. We have some plot points, world building thing that still work, like the whistling arrow thing and the minded godhead, celestial head, was utilized to somewhat, and there was the funny recurring plot point that everybody has that employee. Who I'm speaking about. The totally incompetent when everybody, at least the boss, always hates. But otherwise, this was at best mediocre. Not Game of Thrones or Stranger Things level of disappointment, but Quill was a douche. Mantis and Drax pair went developed nowhere. I mean, individually they were fine, Drax got this father theme and got strong and got useful for that kind of things, and Mantis had some running jokes and all that, developed her character. She was fine, but if we cut out the two characters, do we lose anything? Or the blue chick? Where did she get this new arm? Because this is some extra special arm, so... And, sure, she's from Britain and all that, but... can we ask her to hit the gym? At some points we see through the baggy clothes and she has a stomach like me, and that's not a compliment. So also the pacing was slow and brooding, what the Guardians of the Galaxy was supposed to be. The comic relief of the MCU and fast-paced quick adventure. By the way, the post-credit scene, how much time passed for that one? Because of Groot. Groot definitely got into his, considering human terms, 30s. Definitely at least 30s, maybe 35, past 35. That seems like you can't bring back Groot because spent a bunch of time in space. I know that.